And I'd like to start off by telling everybody we are live and we're being recorded. So members, when I call your name, please state the presence. Eric?
Here.
Rob's not here yet. Eli?
Here.
Jim Cirillo?
Here.
Ken Parker?
Here.
Irfan? Not here. Jamie? Tim? Not here. Scott?
Yes, here.
Okay, and Jane is present. Okay, so, good evening, everyone. This is the open meeting of the Upper Charles Trail, and it's being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022. This meeting, the Upper Charles Trail, is convening via, I believe it's Zoom, maybe it's Google, posted on the town's website identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video. Accordingly, please be aware that others may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer. Meeting and support package materials are up front if you need them. Our agenda item is still very limited, and we will be following that. As you know, we are limited to conversation as far as the channels, and we will be picking it up where we left off. But I would like to start off by reviewing the minutes from last meeting, and please let me know if you have any comments, questions, concerns, changes.
You don't have any copies, so.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Eli, we're getting a little bit of feedback from the microphone. Do you think you can? Do you think you can just mute yourself unless you're going to be speaking? Thank you. Okay. Back to the minutes. Anybody has anything that they would like to address?
No, I'll make a motion to approve this list.
Bob, welcome. And any documents on the table?
Here.
All right, so we have a motion by Eric, second by Scott. All in favor, please signify by saying aye when I call the name. Eric?
Aye.
Bob?
Yes. You can vote.
Well, I sent it out. You didn't get a chance to look at it. Eli, how do you vote?
Affirmative.
Good, thank you. Jim?
Aye.
Jamie, did you have any comments or suggestions? No? Tim's not here yet. Scott?
Aye.
And Jane was a yes as well. Okay, so that's good. We have that on the way. Just that, that's the town hall. So leaving off where, picking off where we left off in the documents, we left off, I believe, is it composition?
Yes.
So it's on the third page of, I noticed that these the copies that the technology for us is all black and white, but I believe the changes are still underlined. So that you should still be able to pick up the changes, the suggested changes. So, the composition, who would like to take a start with this? I'll just briefly go over it. The committee shall have seven, Scott is suggesting 7 or 9 is the way it reads now, with 2 alternates. Liaisons from other town committees and or commissions shall be proposed for membership to the board of selectmen and also appointed. And then that's a suggested change. Usually reads as all members shall serve at the pleasure of the select board. That's going to be your word change. Preference shall be given to ensure at least one member of the Charles Trail has a civil awareness in place of the composition that it had before. Another add-on is one member has information and technology as opposed to social media experience, and one member with marketing, communications, and public relations experience. And so let's just tackle that first. Well, kind of just got to keep into the tackle. But going around the table, Jim, do you have any suggestions or changes in that third paragraph?
I'll pass right now. I'm going to take another look at it.
Okay. First paragraph.
Do you have it? The actor, is that accurate?
I can, did you have anything for first?
Yes. Additions of these.
Well, look below, because we're going to tackle this first paragraph first. The conversation continued on the next 4 paragraphs. Okay, Scott, did you have any, well, thank you for your.
These are my comments.
Yeah. Bob, did you have any suggestions on this one?
Yes. I think we should do away with alternates.
Thank you for saying that, because I think so too. We should all just be full members.
To me, they just have a murky definition, and it just seems like it will be clearer if we don't have alternates.
Okay. All right, that's in the first paragraph.
So we have 7 full voting.
Correct. Well, we can get to the
That's
numbers.
what this.
Yeah, this was suggesting 7. Jamie, how do you feel about that change, that making everybody a full member?
That sounds lovely.
Yes, I think it's wrong.
I would agree with that if the total members are 7.
Yes.
More than
That's
7 makes it too wacky.
okay. So I have, I like that idea.
And I'll weigh in as well. I just kept the original one because Eric has told me before that it's a good training ground. So I was in the camp before. And actually, here we go. So I'm indifferent on that. Just the record.
So,
Was that?
You're in triple A,
I,
you're in the triple, there's a triple A team.
I'm trying to get you.
well, I think, yeah,
So it's a good training ground, as Eric had said, but, I'd go with whatever. So I'm indifferent on that. To Eric's point, it has to be 7, I think.
7 if it's, if we're all members.
Yeah.
9, it's the committee deciding to keep the alternatives, which I think in our case was counterproductive. Okay, so, any other discussion on that? Eli, did you have anything you wanted to share?
No,
Sounds good? Okay, good. Well, I think
So we're saying going from, like, because currently how many are,
9.
there's,
Well, there's 9
plus 2.
plus 2.
Okay, so
No, Jamie was saying, what is it?
What's the
language? And it's 9 members with 2 alternates currently. So we're just saying,
The 9 members include 2 alternates right now. So you have 7 full members.
okay,
Right?
whatever, I thought it was 9, but whatever, I think we're all in agreement that it goes to 7 full-time members and no alternates.
Yes.
That would be One of us here is, okay, be,
Who's what?
oh, you know,
You live number 7.
Well, my understanding, I don't think the select board is. making a
actually, the Parks
decision
and Rec,
yet.
I think Jane might be right for the Park and Recs, they can see.
But let me just take a crack at it. This will be 7 full-time voting members, and the board of, the select board should not have a position on this board. What we have now is Irvine as a voting member, and their member has never shown up for that with any consistency. So I think we should have 7 without a select board member.
So.
I was just adding a voice to that. the
There are
first-
8 people here.
Yeah.
In attendance.
I thought we had 9 voting members with 2 alternates.
I think
And
you're right.
you're right.
Because there's, Cynthia Davis.
Yeah. And the other, person was from, I guess the select board. But when we first created this, you might remember this, Ken. When we first had this, and we first started, Bill Mosier was the select board. And he was very involved. However, he refused to vote because he felt that he was there to help guide and to carry communications back and forth. But he felt as though the committee needed to do its own work without interference from the select board. He also, I still remember this, he felt as though when he went back to the select board and at the end of the day, he got to vote, he would then be getting 2 votes, and he did not feel as though that was right. So the select board is probably going to appoint, they probably will appoint someone to whatever this committee turns out to be. And they will probably be a member, but so if we say
No.
7 vote.
They're not a business, they board of everyone.
I'm actually, excuse me, through the chair, I'm actually here, my stance, because I stricken that. I took the select board, to our corner. I think that if we are presenting options and we are, again, this is the, with the assumption that we have periodic checkpoints for them, like scheduled checkpoints, not ad hoc, then I would say that I don't think we need a select board member. They can attend, they can weigh in, they can see, we can consult with them in any way we need to, but I don't think we're taking a regular membership seat. Listen,
And that's a valid point, and I want to say that the select board has a member of their select board assigned to each and every committee and board in the town, but they're not necessarily members.
They are a member of this board, voting member.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not in their other liaisons.
So that means, okay, so I think we've got that they shouldn't even be a member then. Is what okay. The other thing, we're talking about 7 members, but if we have a representative from Parks and Rec and a representative from, what's the other committee? Oh, the TPMC, do we bump that up to 9?
excuse me, Jane, with the way I have it here, it still counts to 7. So I have the TCMC, Parks and Rec, Conservation Commission. And it still comes to 7.
Okay, there are 4 members at large, not 5.
Correct.
Okay, so TCMC, Concom, Park and Rec,
Well,
and then the remaining 4 would be members at large.
okay, so the first thing is second, the parents, and the full paragraph. Can we start also just the 4 members at large?
It will clean that.
And the also include 2 liaisons.
TCMC, Concom, and Park and Rec.
And also just bring them in.
Okay,
So then below membership shall as follows. So we just follow the 4 and then 4 members at large. Then we use on the content, from person.
Is that add up to
4
7?
members, that is at 7, 4 plus 3 designated. 7, all voting. Correct.
Everyone follow that?
Yes.
And 7 more. Agree with them?
Let's just see for a second. We don't have two stamps to represent the government of Parks and Rec. So we have representative.
No.
We don't have Parks and Rec. So that's two added to this bottom right now.
Or possibly.
No, think of it this way, and I think the select board says perfectly clear, that at the end of this exercise, we're going to be we're going to be disbanded, and the interested people are going to have to reapply. So our job here will be done, as we know it. I believe that's the message I got from the select board at several of our meetings.
Okay, so with four members at large, with what we have right now, you're at large, Ken's at large, Scott's at large, Bob's at large,
And you license.
Eric's at large.
Well,
You're right.
numbers are changing, so this is.
Well, I'm just looking to see,
Can I make a,
and I'm only liaison.
That's true. However, does the liaison have to be a formal member of this?
No.
So we're just plain appointed by them.
That's a good question.
Through the chair, I added that paragraph. I didn't know if it'd be contentious with you guys, but I added it for this reason. That the liaisons don't have to be a member of the committee or commission recommending it. So say if, for example, like Jane said, the Concom or whoever, you know, Tim, sorry. The Parks and Rec said, you know what, Jane's on the planning board, she's had experience, we would recommend Jane. Then Jane is liaison, and her job is to have a bi-directional two-way communication with the Parks and Recs. That's why I added that paragraph, because we wanted flexibility to be able to have it, where people with experience and qualified are committing to do liaisons, but
You're making it too complicated. No, I think
Wait a minute, wait a
just get rid of the Parks and Rec decision. They don't care about it.
Well, Cynthia certainly did.
yeah.
Cynthia did because, people that have some participate, not for her Parks and Rec experience, which she did not on the board. She participated because she was a good worker. Trails.
Well, I take exception to that because I can remember going on multiple field trips with Cynthia, going through EMC Park
What was
particularly.
that that she had on this board?
That's right, but she was a valuable member. We
I
relied.
didn't say that. He could be a member at large.
She's a valuable member, but it didn't have to be the liaison for Parks and Rec.
All right, so.
So it's separate issues, so we can discuss one or the other, but I would suggest we focus on one at a time. So the fact that, I guess we could take Eric's point. Right? If we want to, I put that honestly, I was taking our prior discussion from this group. Yeah, because I actually, this is a argument on, I suggested that we strike that, and I got pushback from the group, and I was like, I don't feel strongly.
Okay,
So I kept it in there.
all right. I think Jamie had a thought.
I was just, when we were talking about the numbers and I pulled up the roster, I don't know if this is relevant, but right now Bob and Jim are listed, probably because the term is expired last June. So I don't know if, because the appointments weren't re-upped, we've technically lost 2 members just since last year. So I just, just as an awareness.
No, that's fine.
But I think, you know, in defense of the Park and Rec.
We haven't lost a member. This-
According to the roster.
I don't care what the roster
Okay,
says.
I think
The
that's
law
so much
says
important.
that you are a member until they replace you with someone. So you don't, the term does not run out.
Someone can resign, I think. So.
Okay. I
But
think-
anyway, so we have two discussion points there. One is the suggestion that Parks and Rec be eliminated, and the other one was that they didn't have to be, my point, they didn't have to be necessarily an active member of that committee or commission to be members. So we could discuss one, both of them, but I think we should discuss one at a time.
Okay, so I think I should clarify this right away. The way it's currently handled by the town is that, for instance, and it happens all the time, not all the time, but it happens often on the planning board, because we have liaisons that go all over the place. Quite often, people on the planning board are not interested. The planning board in the past has taken a request from someone on the outside and that person then comes in. So I think this, it's good to have this language written out, but I believe this is the way it's needed.
Yeah, I think, one of the points we made last meeting, I think it was last meeting, was we want to create as many open paths for membership. We don't want to be obstacles to membership. Again, I think by allowing this, it's not required, it's allowed. So if an active member is appointed or recommended, great. If not, if one of the members doesn't want to be there, someone that wants to be a member of our committee that can't be at large can go to whatever, Concom or whatever, and say, hey, I'd like to be a member, would you nominate me?
Okay, so we're all in favor of keeping that language then, the liaison members need not be a current member of the blah, blah, blah.
And I'm placing TCMC is really
No, it's just what you just said.
What I would do is I would add, if a Parks and Rec, if somebody doesn't give us someone, then the select people can.
can or can't.
It goes to them to appoint somebody.
I know, I think we should.
That complicates and then it takes it out of I guess it could be the same thing. The same person could go to the select board instead of X committee.
I don't,
But it takes away the liaison part of it, right? And the obligation to have communication.
does anyone agree with Eric?
Not sure what word about talking about. So
All right, this paragraph here, it says,
I agree with it in terms of ranking, happily. Wait, sorry, we're not talking about that yet.
We're talking about whether the liaisons can be designated by Concom and TCMC that are members of Concom and TCMC. I think that that's okay. It seems like that might be the way it is now. When it comes to Concom, it's got to be. So I'm a member of Concom and that project, but not using that.
I can also add further history to this. In the past, we had other liaison members of the select board suggested that we have in our charter. For the longest time, we could not get anyone on the planning board to be interested at all. Or neither did anyone from the outside go through planning board. We asked the select board to take a look at it, and they did away with that liaison position. So ultimately, it would end up with the hands of the select board. If the committee at the time thought that there was a problem with this, the select board can always change this and make it alternates.
It's an option.
Can I make a suggestion? 7-member board, 2 of which are liaison, one from Concom, one from the Trails Commission. So 5 at large, 2 liaison.
That's fine. Anyone else have strong feelings about it?
I agree with that.
Okay,
But can I gotta give you a practical example of why another committee, why let's say Concom should be able to appoint somebody besides them, because right now, Janine, that's what it is, member of TCMC. I'm not sure everybody else on the committee has the time to commit, that is a chair of open space.
Well, then this
And I'm the host
committee,
of that.
then this committee could go to the select people to,
Okay, or the alternative is, it comes up for reappointment. And they ask me if I want to be reappointed. Let's say I can't for whatever reason, health reasons. I would be able to say, Jamie, let me sort of, nominate whatever, to be the Concom. There's nobody else in the Concom that can have that city.
that changes all the time.
okay.
Can I make a motion that we vote on it?
Don't want a committee in this town with a chairman that doesn't have a clue what we're doing.
I'm with you.
To pull out of their thing to say, here's our person.
That's why we need another.
I think, no, we need TCMC, Concom. If the relative don't give us anyone, we go to the select people and say, please appoint someone at large.
Then we come to another.
All right, well, let's see if we can move past this. Does everyone feel comfortable with 5 full-time members with 2 liaisons?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The next paragraph is an active member from the Upper Charles Trail shall also be voted by the Upper Charles Trail majority to serve as a voting member of the PCMC. Okay, we're going to agree basically, yeah.
Excuse me, Danny, where do we end up on liaison members?
Two liaisons.
No, but the paragraph below that, I think we all agree on the number of liaisons, but the paragraph that Eric is against, I think, sound like.
What do you mean?
Paragraph, all members need not be current members. I still,
No, I think we should leave that language, that's fair,
okay.
because,
Or you're up.
yeah, TPM or Concom, if they want to take an open application.
Because it goes to Jim, okay, because I don't think we should have five that aren't necessarily any someone that's committed to being placed. Like,
Yeah, but at large means that you were interviewed by the select people, anybody's attempted to.
Yes, but
Nobody's gonna apply for it unless they're interested.
to Scott's point, if somebody were interested, Parks and Rec, for instance, did not have anyone, then somebody that was interested in Parks and Rec would volunteer and be a member
It's
of
almost
our
like you
committee
need
to
to
Parks and Rec. They would also be
No,
responsible to go back to Parks and Rec.
no, Parker Rex's officer, Concom.
Well, whatever.
Don't get Eric
Yeah,
going.
that was just a throw out there for his story, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Okay, so we are changing 5 members at large. Liaison shall, oh, we're getting rid of liaisons altogether. And no, sorry about that. We're Concom and
Yeah, we're going-
PMC.
Now we're on the active numbers to use
Yeah.
to see it sounds like.
So, and then the alternate members, we're getting rid of that. We got that wording. It's good. Tim, you came in late. Did you understand what we're trying to do with that? Okay. All right, so all of the language about alternate members, okay, this is good. Length of the term. Well, this is as it was written before. And if anyone had any suggestions, maybe that it's staggered. And the select board manage that notice yet, so that we all don't finish up at the same time. So do that well.
The length of term paragraph is where the language about consecutive terms. You might make a,
Okay, so length of term, 3 years, chair, vice chairs, and sort of. Every 2, okay, so the chair and the vice chair of the committee shall serve up to 2 consecutive 1-year terms as chair and vice chair, and may not serve again in that role for 2 years. Well, obviously, I disagree with that.
I disagree with that completely.
I'm trying to find that paragraph.
It's on the page, the next page, what over the page.
But really the good things that happen in this town, it happens when people serve more than 1 year or 2 years in position. Because by the time, by the time they know what they're doing, they have to step down.
I just thought it was around similar to the select board rotates. I thought rotation was a good thing.
They do not have to rotate. They have had chairs in the selectmen for 3 years, 4 years.
They don't have to rotate at all.
They don't have to rotate. They just use it.
By it's courtesy, the person that's running the term gets the courtesy of being the chair for one. That doesn't always.
No, not.
I mean, this is,
vote. I mean, for example, I was a selectman 5 years, and 3 of them was chair with consecutive terms. We did good things. Nobody else wanted it.
It does depend on the composition of the committee. Jamie, did you have a thought?
I feel like it should be discussed more than just no, because this is what our fund was recommending. Like this language. I have no option to, yes,
Thought, do that.
Wait,
This.
it's in our fund's draft.
well, the one you read, the ones you read, right?
Mrs. Scott.
It was in both.
Okay, thank you. I'm not referenced. Okay, he's not here to share what his reasoning was with that. I don't know what.
So, I mean, from discussions at county and other forums, I would suggest that there is definitely, for listening to the community, there's people who feel like the board was making decisions one way, and their job to listen. And I understand that, like, when a board never gets any spotlight on it and it's had the same chair forever, no one knows if that's true. So in a situation where some people disagree with decisions being made, they felt part of the reason was because there wasn't a circulation of ideas. So understand that that's where the select board is hearing things, right? That's what came up. And so we have to at least stop and consider that input, because how many did express a very negative opinion of our existence, right? So we can shake our heads at that all we want. But I would argue that our goal should be to do what we can to address this and continue on with the good work that we do, as opposed to trying to tell everybody else, screaming in the wind that we're right and they go wrong. So. Like,
Could we change this language to instead of shall, may? So that every 2 years at least there's.
I don't think
thorough
it's
discussion?
perfect. I don't think it's even youth that put it, that we go to May, because it's a charge, so a charge is one. So I think, I know, I get where, seems like, maybe it's, I don't know, it doesn't matter, I understand it as a majority person, but the rationale, I think, is that the expertise is not leading the committee. James, I think, has done a good job of being pretty democratic about weighing in and taking input and feedback from the various members of the committee, right? And that's what a chair should do. So being the chair, I would hope, would not be an autocracy, right? It's not their way or the highway, right? So I got sorry, Ken. No, I'm almost done.
We're framing 200 people at town meetings.
Sorry, Ken, I'm not trying to get you worked up. No, just one more thing.
it doesn't look good to get worked up.
Well,
Sorry.
Scott was talking.
Just one more sentence, okay, I think. So therefore, if we have a good process and we have the same membership and the expertise remains, a good chair will facilitate, and the group is based on a majority vote. That vote is not leading the committee of that expert or the chair or whatever. That's the rationale. Now, what I would be willing to do, I guess sentence number 2, is to say, it says up to 2 for second year, so it could be 1 year. If someone is just doing awful, they get voted out. And maybe instead of saying can't serve again for 2 years, you say for that 1 year, or you don't even put that second clause. And you don't put any limits on someone, the ability for someone to be reappointed. So there are obviously a lot of instances and committees that we think someone thinks someone's going to do a great job and they just don't, right? So then they can get voted out, and the person that did it last, they say, geez, that last person agreed, they put it back in. But that's my.
Okay, Jim.
Thank you. This one, I don't think there should be a limit on how many times a person can have to be chair. The committee always votes for a chair, for who the chair is. On the committees and commissions that I've been on, I can't think of anybody better than to be chair of Concom, or the chair of CPC, or frankly, chair of the town clerk. It takes a lot of work, takes a lot of commitment, which I know, frankly, I don't have, and I'm not going to put in. And everybody I know that's chair puts a tremendous amount of time, me and by the chair. I don't know what you're referring to, Tim. I know the town did the parameters, but there's no other committee that would be attacked like we were attacked. Or this committee was attacked. I think that's a fundamental problem, all the time, that is, for sure. So I would say that there shouldn't be a limit of how many times someone can be chair. If you're not voting, you're not voting in. If you're voting in, you're voting in. It's up to the committee to vote chair. But we don't like what the chair is doing as a committee, then we vote for the chair. I agree. We've done every committee except for select board and planning board, and we're doing.
No, select board and planning board are also elect their own chair.
No, I know. Yeah, well, right. That's it.
All the boards, they all reorganize after town meeting.
That's the first thing they're
Because there's
supposed
a
to do.
process for office.
And by the way, so how would Peter, our chair of CCMC, would he accept this? Well, I would be Peter being chair of CCMC forever. Who else would want that?
I don't think he is, that's,
The chair of appropriations has been a chair forever. Okay? And the guy before him was chair forever. The chair of the historical committee has been a chair for at least 7 or 8 years, I know one. The chair at, Community Preservation Committee has been chair for 5 years that I know about this time. Virtually every committee has had that except, well,
No, they all do that. Every committee is charged with
Why are you just?
selecting.
why would we be different?
Well, yes, Ken.
I kind of agree with Tom, that the reason that we're different is because the fact that we're actually getting disbanded. So we have to take that into account.
We don't know if we're going to spend.
Well, okay, so, I agree with you there. I think, I understand what you're saying about the other committees in town, and I think it's unusual for us to be treated, but the reason that we are treated differently is because they're at least potentially being disbanded. Whether we are or not, actually, I think whether or not we get disbanded may depend a little bit on how we vote on this issue. So I don't think it's a good idea in general. I agree with Eric on that. Because of the weird circumstances that were under us, we ought to go for the rule for the next several years. And whether we want to permanently do that, I don't know that that's a good idea. So,
All right, we'll do that. Anyone else before Jim goes again? Yes.
I can see the potential benefit to Ken's suggestion of saying for the next 5 years there'll be a rotation. I do think that there's benefit to rotation. Let's say everyone on the committee felt that Jane and Eric were the absolute perfect ideal chair and vice chair. Worst case scenario with this sentence, they swap places. That actually works under this sentence. Or maybe there's actually an effort to help new people get involved and take over some of the load that's so difficult. It doesn't say that the prior chair is kicked off the committee. I would imagine that everyone here is interested in collaboration, working together, working towards a common goal. So if there needed to be any questions or check-ins, I imagine the former chair would be happy to do that. So my opinion, I think it would make sense to keep that there. And if there was a concern about how long that would last, I could see a benefit to saying for the next 5 years.
Anyone else? Bob, Tim, before Jim goes again?
Does it say that you can serve 2 consecutive terms?
May not serve 2 consecutive terms.
So I guess my suggestion for continuity would be that you can serve 2 consecutive terms.
It says up to two consecutive one-year terms.
Right. I mean, I think like all boards, we should do that annual. I would recommend if I were. voting. You definitely neighborly. I would. I don't think that someone who's doing a good job, if the committee wanted to keep them on and they wanted to stay on, a second, third in a row. To get further through task makes a lot of sense, other than less than that. I hear both sides of the argument because I understand that oftentimes there's only one person who's actually interested in, and enforcing somebody who's not going to do their job is a good idea. I think sometimes it will surprise you if you give them a chance, and it might turn out that the chair doesn't have to work as hard. Everybody knows how to do some of the things the chair does. Including the former chair would be able to still do a lot of the things. So there are some good things about rotation. I do see the argument about like, hey, running a meeting, taking over the law, and being targeted is difficult. So I think we should consider this carefully, is all I'm trying to say, not simply shake our head and go, I've never heard this before. Maybe we set a tone and all the boards adopt this, and then we don't get stale old boards that just keep doing the same thing year after year. And it's not that it's to anybody here. I didn't mean it that way. I'm saying our sports, who do, it kind of like, this is how it goes. They don't change. So it's not necessarily a terrible thing to set a new precedent.
I think it's, just as good for you to, I think it sets a dangerous precedence for prejudice. Obviously, people have a problem with this current leadership. No other order committee in this town has been attacked for on the personal aspect that we were. And I think this is
What's
pushback.
written about the select board?
Excuse me? They haven't gone after the terms of memberships, have they? And they were allowed to finish their term. There was a move to disband that, but they're not here. But let's not get off track. I think it's a personal affront, and it's a tone of prejudice for this committee. So, Jim, if you have something to say?
Yes, there are no other committees that do that. I don't see why we should. And I challenge anybody in this town to present any real factual evidence that this committee has been dysfunctional. The committee has not been dysfunctional. And I challenge anybody. The fact that a bunch of people follow one person at town meeting is dysfunctional, show them evidence, all right? I think we've worked on it and what people think. Show some evidence. What is the evidence that we've been dysfunctional? There's absolutely none. I challenge everybody. I don't think that this going to be there. It's not going to be any other committee. And I sure don't think you're going to go to any other committee and make a wholesale change every committee to adopt this kind of rule. Because as Eric said, the committee should chair by people who are committed to it and are doing their job. There's no bias in any committee chair that I've ever seen. There's no bias, there's no bullying of the membership to follow along in their footsteps. So I'm against it 1,000%.
Okay, well, I think we've all said our piece, I think. I think that this is going to call for a vote, so we mentioned that we think that this might be important for the select board to see how they're voting on this. So we'll go around the table. Can I show, okay.
Make a motion. I make a motion that the leadership of the committee remain as it has been when the committee was formed,
As originally written.
as originally written.
All right, so we'll do a yes or no vote. Is there a second?
Oh, second.
Okay, I think everyone should be allowed to vote this.
No, voting members.
I think it should go into the minutes how people are.
They can write an opinion, but we can't change.
What we got in the bill.
Well, I'll make sure it gets with the language.
Because we want
This is that kind of work, I agree. Just, yeah, so,
All right.
go with the 5-2, so.
Can I just clarify one thing? Eric motion, to keep our structure the way it is, that doesn't, that's what I think James and the chair going forward, just means that.
Can we just move to strike? Okay, just move to strike the language of like,
Because I don't know how it's, I don't remember how it's originally written.
Well, we just took a motion to keep the language as written.
well, the motion was to go back to something.
The original language, you just, as it is now, there's no language at all. Well, just as the current language says, that chair and vice chair shall be elected annually, is the way it's currently reads.
That's the way.
Is the way it currently reads, and you put in secretary and.
I guess I'll try to remember on that one, because I don't have it in front of me. I'll be voting on something. Let's see. I don't know if Eric would opt to change it by saying this, your motion to strike this.
We put a period after the word term.
Who came up with that? Where did that come from?
Doesn't matter. It's weird.
How can we get rid of it in?
We would be going to think of it,
It's weird.
with only, two things being added.
Well, through the chair,
Yes.
I think if we're looking at the paragraph of length of term, it sounds like you want to remove alternate members shall be appointed by Board of Selectmen for staggered 3-year terms. That's the second sentence because we removed alternate. And then it looks like you want to say remove, like, that's it.
This makes some voting on. Chair.
The last one was right, chair and vice chair.
Or shall be voted. So,
We don't even need that. Let's just scratch from the chair, vice chair and committee.
I don't know about that.
Sure. We don't need it.
All right, let me try this. On the length of term, we have first sentence, full members shall be appointed by the Board of Selectmen for staggered 2-year terms. Okay. Second sentence, alternate members strike it all the way through, because they no longer propose one. Next sentence, the last sentence, the chair and vice chair of the committee shall serve 1-year terms as chair and vice chair.
And that's great. 1 year done.
Yeah.
So, and the leadership.
There is an election every year.
Annually.
Yeah.
That's the way it
Right.
works.
That's the way it is now.
Right, which is not what this says.
Well. No, sorry.
Just put a period after vice chair and executive, and then I'll start every year.
So we're adding something about electing or appointing every year.
1-year term.
I'll look at the original one.
1-year term. It says it right there.
And it will go out in the draft minutes, and if people still want to take a crack at it, you can do it when I send out the minutes.
It's very too emotional.
What? That's slap you.
Okay, so
You think it's, that won't have to you with it, but it's not. I've served on 17 committees in this,
Okay.
and you're the, one of the 2 or 3 best chairs I've ever worked.
All right. So, are you making a friendly amendment? Are you making?
I amend my motion to what, Jim said.
Well, I'll make a motion that we do paragraph length of terms. We try to sentence with alternate members because we don't have it. And as the last sentence, we will remain as original chart. With blue stripes as chair and vice chair.
Phrase it that way, we can get the correct language, and it was just their annual meeting themselves. Right after the first meeting.
That makes sense? Eric, that makes sense.
Second.
Would that sound good?
Yeah, I second the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
So,
I know. Bob, do you have a comment?
I think this motion calls for the very last sentence in that paragraph to read, the chair, and vice chair of the committee shall serve 1-year terms as chair and vice chair, period.
No, we're striking that.
Let's stay on it. Shall serve a 1-year term until the next reorganization. I mean,
Well, the original language is slightly different. And I think that it might be safer just to go back to the original language. And just, something
what is the
simple.
original?
It's something as simple as, yearly, the committee shall reorganize. It doesn't even say organize, it says vote chairman and vice chair.
Right.
Graph something that's,
Exactly.
all right, I want to then actually capture people's individual thoughts in the minutes. Tim's and Jamie's, Kevin's and all that, so. When I send out the minutes, I will, we're being recorded, I will find capture those and include those. So that when the select board does read this document, they all have a background of the discussion. The next one is select board recording.
We're gonna vote.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I didn't have it myself.
So restate the motion, I don't know.
Let's do it by your feet.
I'm sorry, Mr. You're right. Eric,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Eli,
I'm going to abstain
okay,
because I can't make out the individual voices and the meeting is a garble. So I'm going to leave and I'll try and make the next one in person.
okay, thank you.
Feel
Yeah.
better?
Yes.
And. Bertram's not here. Jane is a yes, and Scott was a no.
No.
I believe in you.
Yes,
Karen.
I said that. Okay, on to the next one, select board recording, this is new. Secretary of Affairs Committee shall be responsible for providing a quarterly report to be presented to select board quarterly and comprised of, I'll let you read the rest of that. I think this is fine myself, going on the table, Jim.
I'll ask for it.
Okay, Ken?
Okay.
Okay. Scott?
I wrote it, so.
Yeah, you did good. Tim, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's fine.
Fine, Bob,
Yes.
Jamie, your thoughts?
I like the commitment to community engagement and improved communication with the select board. I like it.
Eric? Oh, I didn't get to you yet. Eric?
I think semi-annual would be better, because if we do it quarterly, we will spend more time in meetings like this, wordsmithing a report that they don't even read. So I suggest we do it twice a year, not 4 times a year.
It's not a bad idea. Anyone else have a thought?
And it's come back to the original question. And I would agree with that twice a year. There's not enough that's accomplished. Now, this committee doesn't want to accomplish things, but it's just a relatively slow process, so 4 times a year seems a bit too much for me. But for the record, I will say, we have a select board member here who was meant to give reports to the select board that he did. So by now, by putting it in, provide a report for the standing annual, as well as standing annual, It's not a criticism of this committee as it's existed, because we had that person who was supposed to do that. Second thing is, I think, and again, the challenge is that we've had community engagement. So I have no problem with this as it is, except that I would like to go in the semi-annual.
Ken, do you have a thought?
Yeah, I'm pretty much okay with the semi-annual thing, and I also agree some burden on the select board because 4 times a year, and I wonder how much attention they pay for it. So maybe we can leave it ambiguous. Because I don't think it's a bad thing to make a quarterly report, but I don't know if we should fill out the public.
Okay. Point taken.
Yeah, thanks. With the right template, I mean, we wouldn't have to wordsmith. In my view, this could be one table that we could put in front of the select board for 5 minutes before. And I'm very confident that this group, we're dealing, to Jim's point, in facts. This is not wordsmithing. We're not writing paragraphs, we're not writing reports. We're literally putting a couple of bullet points on a page and getting in front of the select board proactively. Point number 1. Point number 3, Jim, to your point about the select board involvement or lack of your point. Because we struck the select board as a member of the committee is why I put this in there.
Good points, Tim.
Through the chair, I believe that Scott is speaking over optimistic about our put all points together without having a long discussion. So I think I agree with people who said that the semi-annual will probably be our impactful report that has a better chance of getting some attention with the select board, which certainly we haven't had any attention recently. So thank you.
Thank you. Bob?
I'm inclined to agree with Scott that if we make an initial presentation that talks about our objectives and our issues that and gives a status of each, that this thing could thereafter be a table that hopefully has some changes in it. Probably the issues won't change very much, but that should be helpful and to the select board and but I'm still inclined to agree that we should try to do that twice a year, and if we decide we're really good at it, then we can up our game.
And thinking, Jamie?
I still see a benefit of quarterly. I would be fine with, if we want to change the language to at least biannually, so that it holds us to twice. And if there's things happening, it gives us the opportunity to request an audience, although of course we're probably not limited to request. I like that it builds in checkpoints for within the board though too. Like, I think that's a benefit of this. Is forcing us to consider, you know, what have we done? Where are we going? And actually have it down. I see a benefit to that. More self-assessment.
Need a motion?
You want to share thoughts?
I'm the one who came here with my.
I'm inclined to go with seminary, especially with, up to, I like the language that Jane presented to at least.
For the chair.
Semi-annually.
I don't think we need to vote. I think everybody's, except for me, semi-annual.
So people, I like Jamie's suggestion that up to semi-annually. So that would be.
No less than 70 which implies that if there's a reason to meet or to present it more frequently, we're open to that. If something that happens and it's halfway through the semi-annual 6 months, then we would be able to do that. Let's do that now. So we'll talk about next time.
Guys, we're doing this for the board of, the select board. If they want more information during the year, all they have to do is ask.
Well, I think we're all, what I'm hearing is up to. No,
less.
no less.
All right, select board time, you feel accepted?
Then, I don't know if we have to vote on it, I think. No less than semi-annual.
Gonna make a motion, Jim.
Yeah. So, Madam Chair, I make the motion that we revise select board reporting, the paragraph that's presented here as being, no less than semi-annual, presentations to the select board, and then anywhere where there's quarterly, we would change the semi-annual. To the quarter.
This second,
All in favor? Wait a minute, roll call. Eric,
yes,
Bob,
Yes.
Eli,
Eli.
oh, okay, I think he's having trouble hearing it. Jim,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
is yes, Scott,
Yes.
all right, good. Yeah. So the charge. Pretty much is. All right. Is as. It's always been except for guide design recommended trail and. Creation of the development plan in the Telstra. So the suggestion has been to. Guide design of the recommended trail.
Excuse me, through the chair. So just for everybody's expediency, so when we discussed this the first time, for Frost's meeting, we as a group generally agreed that what I changed it, what you could see outlined, is I brought that forward from the discussion we had last meeting, is the design of the recommended trail. So I incorporated the design of the trail here. And then changed the number of options to 3. Wait, did I say?
Yes, I see. Everyone see?
Wait,
that?
oh, no, it said 2 or 3. I think I was trying to 3. Listen,
Yeah.
so just for purpose, thanks.
I don't have a problem with 2 or 3, some of them, but, if, that's fine, because if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So we make sure there's 3 options. You know, we can do the best we can. Yes,
Well, I'm thinking about all these route options, and the type of segments that we talked about in the meetings. I can't think of any one that had 3 options. I'm not gonna try to think of some of them that included. So the 3, if we're committed, if we're required at 3, what happens is there aren't 3 to the option? Let's say that, let's say, what is one to do an option? Let's look at it, we'll go next, say, 2 options. What is it?
Then I would go with 2 or 3. I would stick with the original. I mean, to your question, that's a very valid point. I mean, we don't want to just make something up and making it up. I agree with that. What I was thinking is,
so the widgets are lined down the road.
yeah, I mean, and tough said that, which we don't have to do, but I'm saying that there could be a small tweak to one of them, which is a roundabout or something, if there was some lot of land you couldn't get or whatever,
Just use the word at least 2, and if we want to get in 3 options, we can.
I think 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
And we have the word feasible in there?
No.
No, because.
Excuse me, I think that's where we get dangerous, because then what's the definition of feasible? That's why actually,
Well, I don't know.
I bet it's different than mine.
No, I think-
Look up and see.
Well, I think it's important to remember that we just present these options to the select board, the select board is going to make a decision. And we can think it's feasible or not, we're going to want to do it.
2 or 3. I think the key is not really more than 3, sure, right? We don't want to go to the
I
comment.
really know that. We were able to do that, Okay, so everyone's fine with the charge?
You want to make the motion? Sorry.
Oh, I make a motion to accept it as, the charge, at the last paragraph, 1 through 5, that's written.
Second.
Okay.
Is that not including 6 through 10?
610 is on the next page.
No.
And that's as written, so we might as well.
Well, I guess we could.
Can you bring this,
Like,
the motion?
You said it.
Yeah,
as written, but I would write.
that's just the way it should work. So we'll just amend it to,
It's 4-3. Thank you.
we said 1 through
Thank you.
10.
Sorry, I need to amend my motion. Thank you, John. My motion is to amend this to read item number 4, there's up, and 2 or 3 other girls' buildings. And to accept the change to item number 1. And then accept all items 1 through 1 through 10 here. That's, with that one amendment.
I second.
Okay, all in favor? By roll call. Eric,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Ken. James Scott,
Yes.
and then Jim is a yes as well. Okay, we're almost there. Keep going. We'll be right
I
there.
think that's it.
I'll second that.
All right, so, well, before we adjourn, on this, we were about to do 20, to meet the soul, you're doing it. Meetings, recess. A final version of judgment. To then, it's like,
Do we have, has any editing or this one? So what would you think they apply for this? Or two creating or?
I was trying to get.
Oh, sorry.
That, what does the committee now want to actually do, or just?
Just revise it, revise it for our discussions if they're done from the
New board again, so what's this?
I think the minutes reflect the conversations that we have had along the way. I'm not sure that a report would.
Send the cover sheet, saying, per your request.
Yeah, just a cover sheet.
here's the reply
Documents, is that fair
Here's
enough?
our
proposal.
Well, no,
Here's our
the minutes,
changes.
and then I'll take a crack at the draft recommendations that we have.
Okay.
So
So,
I don't
so presents,
strongly vote to.
well, presents a proposed charge. And it's right on that, proposed charge based on all of the discussions here. So if you want to go back to the minutes and see the evolution of that, you can. But it's right in front of the charge that we're proposing. Let's just,
So who's gonna make those edits?
so I nominate, I make a motion that Scott. Go for it. Since you see the red line in here, I would say that Scott would be the most appropriate student. Where that.
I obviously, being present tonight helped, and I'm out of memory, I can make the edits from tonight. I'm gonna have to go back through the minutes if I have any questions from the agent, because I was on the phone driving for last meeting.
Correct,
So
so
with that, I won't deliberately make any errors. So I'll clarify with Jane before anything gets distributed. Jane will be the distributor.
Yeah, distributed to us before you start.
Correct. Well, only to Jane, and then Jane can decide.
Okay, so let's assume that they come up with that. We would need to meet at least one more time to all of us to vote on that revised charge.
if the committee, that's what we
We
want.
don't need to vote unless we respond to the chair. If she sees that none of us get it, we'll call another meeting.
All right, I'm cool with that.
I'll accept that. I'll make the, that's much.
Okay,
So I make a motion that Tom, make the revisions that we discussed to develop the forward and new chart.
Second.
But then what? Do we,
then
It'll be distributed to all the members.
we'll pass it up to
If there are any
the.
more
we'll all see it in our email
Yeah.
From Jane.
from
I'm
Jane.
not distributed to anybody but Jane.
And then if
We will respond to that, except if we see anything wrong.
okay, we'll submit any comments or edits to
Send it
Jane.
back to me and then I'll go through Scott, because otherwise,
Right.
we're gonna run.
So that's.
So who made that motion?
But we can go early. There's that will come.
Everyone fine with that?
You'll know when you call the vote.
I don't know, maybe something in a couple of weeks, it'll take a while.
You know, to do that a couple of weeks, hopefully sooner, but
Yeah,
Do tonight's tonight. Do tonight's tonight.
I actually have to work tonight. And go back to work.
okay. That's just.
That's the vote.
You have to vote, okay. And the moment we need this, that's gonna do the revisions, you can work with Jen and you will try to get that up to weeks or so. Roll call vote, Eric,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes, or to adjourn.
Yeah, no, it's the motion that Tom,
get the reports done.
Oh, yes.
Let's see, Scott,
I'm still.
okay. Now, does anyone else have anything before we?
Yeah. For whatever may or may not mean to you, I just returned from a 1 week organized bicycle trip on the island of Madeira, which is this place way out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, volcanic island actually. And this was advertised as a trip that had elevation. That was an understatement. The characterization of this thing as a moderate ride was a misrepresentation, at least for people as old as me and the rest of the group was. But what I wanted to say is that it reaffirmed, as if I needed any reaffirmation, about the glory and beauty of having off-road bike trips. This was all on roads that everybody else is using with four-wheel vehicles. And so it was just as much of a white knuckle bike ride as anything else. So if we could end up with a 25-mile off-road bike loop that connects these 5 towns, it would be worth all this agony that we've been going through. That's all.
Well, thank you for your positive thinking.
We made it back. That's a good thing.
That was a good, or I think it's a good.
Okay, we made a motion to adjourn.
You didn't count that. Okay.
We'll call the vote.
Okay. All in favor, Eric,
Eric, yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Ken, Scott, and James is yes. Okay, my friends. Let me find you there. This is about project. Yeah.
That thing was on fire.
Yeah.
Took the car in the morning and.
The schools blasted out a message because of the bus problem.
Is that why the fire trucks come up?
Yes, but then there were also accidents on 495, so ambulances were running the other way and we had traffic from fire and cut through.
There was fire in Valley.
Yes, yeah, that's not fair.
Six a.m. or six.
Oh,
Terms.